Hey, what's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in today's video, and today I want to show you how the subject of your painting isn't as important as what you see in it. Okay, so unfortunately I couldn't live stream today, so I thought I'd make this video, and I wanted to make it fresh right after finishing these 3 car paintings for my car challenge. Now I want to show you how it's the same subject matter, it's all cars, but the way I approached each and every one of these was significantly different based on what I saw in the reference photo. And we're going to start by order. I did this one first, then this one, and then this one. And I worked at them simultaneously. So let's get started with the first one. And I'll share pictures of the process with you as I go along. Now, for every car here, I actually saw something different in it that attracted me to paint it. For this car, it was all the nuances of light and shadow, and even though I didn't get them 100% accurate, none of these are 100% accurate. What I did get right is what I saw in it, and all of these nuances of light and shadow made me want to tackle the first wash in a very wet way, meaning I'm going to cover most of the painting up and I'll start really fleshing out the different areas one by one. So I'll start with putting wet and wet for this darker window and wet dark for this area, and really take my time with the first wash and carefully build it up as I go along. Some of the color harmony was ruined in the process, some of the colors got a little muted, a little muddy, and hopefully you're seeing the proper pictures of it. But for the most part, I'm very happy with how it turned out. Now, the next stage for me, and that's usually what the most significant step, is really to establish the three-dimensionality of the forms after the wet and wet, because wet and wet doesn't stay, it blends a bit. That's the beauty of watercolor. So I really had to establish all of these gentle curves in the body of the car and its shape, and that was when most of the work is done. It's the dreadful second wash, I like to call it sometimes, because it is the hardest. It is the one where I personally establish most of the different details and feeling of three-dimensionality. Not the smallest details, but the larger ones, meaning this side of the car as opposed to the front of the car. This top part that's a little lighter and the rest is darker. The big shapes, the shadow underneath it, which I did wet and wet. All of these are very, very important for conveying the overall impression. And to be honest with you, after this wash, the painting is pretty much done. The rest is just adding some details, which is what I did in the last stage. So I added some stronger reds just because I wanted it to show a little better and maybe create this secondary focal point here. Also added all the white highlights, all of the details around the door handles and the different features of the body of the car and its design. Very small details that are still important. That's how I approached this painting. Now let me show you this one. I'm going to switch sides because this one was done very differently. This is against the light, and I'm hopefully showing you the references as well. And when I face an against the light painting, what I'll notice is there is just one layer of, and sorry, there are a lot of construction works outside, sorry if you can hear it, but against the light, which is beautiful, which is one of my favorite types of subjects to tackle in watercolor, is characterized by just 2 values, kind of. So you have the lights and the darks, and then some further darker darks within the darks. And that's how I approached it. So for the first wash, I didn't want to touch all of the darker values. What I wanted to do instead was just cover everything with a flat wash, starting from the slightly muted blue sky to the slightly warm red or yellowish ground, because I knew that I'm going to establish all of these shapes of darker value. I just treated it as a 2-value painting for the first wash. So I just want to get rid of the background, because all of the darker areas I'm going to put in one go, because they're all connected together, because the light comes from in front of us. Okay, that's a really important distinction to make. Unlike this one, where the light is kind of spread out, or this one that you're going to see in just a second, that is directly hit by the sunlight, this is against the light, so everything merges together. So if everything merges together, I can do it in one wash, and that's not going to be the first wash, but rather the second. Now, I could have completely disregarded this first wash and just go straight into those darker areas and paint them as one big shape, which is what I showed you in some other tutorials with the colorful cars. But the reason I didn't want to do that is because I didn't want the sky to be white. I didn't want the ground to be white. I wanted them to have some kind of a temperature. Cool here and warm there. I hope that makes sense. Then for the second wash, I did exactly what I told you. I covered everything up with a very fluid wash that just encapsulates all of the darks. And whatever I could manage in that wash, in terms of wet and wet, I did get. I put in most of the darks, sorry for the ambulance, most of the darks for the door here, for the windows, for the shadow underneath, especially important. And that's how you get this flowy feeling. Those taillights were put together with everything else, just one wash, okay? And then for the last one, just like this one, the last wash is kind of similar. Added some highlights that were necessary. No, actually here there aren't any highlights I added, just the details. Again, these features at the back of the car, these lines here, maybe darken some areas, but nothing more than that, okay? Because what captured me in this photo, in this car, is the fact that it's against the light. Now for the last one, and this is really different, the first thing I noticed with the reference photo, by the way, these two I took the pictures of. This one is pretty much the only one I used a photo online from Pixabay. What captured my imagination here was just the fact that there is this contrast between blue and orange, and I really wanted to show that. So my entire work was based and revolved around that, and you can see this in the first was just blue and orange. Where's the cool, where's the warm, and establish that. Regardless of really the values, it wasn't as important. So it was kind of similar to this first wash of blue and yellow. However, here it wasn't so much about the temperature and using muted colors, but rather using those blues and oranges directly. This is what attracted me to this one. So I did the first wash mainly with these colors. Second wash, I started establishing some of the three-dimensionality of the shapes. On a macro level, like the shadows here on the window and the sides here and blah, blah, blah. And the last wash, just like the previous ones, was for details and highlights. So let me switch sides here, three very different processes, because this is my point. The subject matter isn't as important. Yes, you will see subjects that are repetitive. For example, if I just paint a bunch of cars against the light, I may approach them similarly, but it's not the subject that made me do that. It's actually the conditions of light and shadow and the nuances of what I see in terms of colors and saturation in the painting. And every one of those attracted me to paint it a different way. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Look for photos or views that inspire you because something specific about them calls you to paint them. So for me, again, here it was the nuances of three-dimensionality, here it was the beautiful merged washes of against the light, and here it was that contrast between blue and orange. Find what you enjoy, find the thing that attracts you in the reference photo. Don't be concerned by patterns, don't be concerned by, oh, it's this type of a reference photo, so I'm gonna paint it this way. No, that's not as important. What's more important is what you see in it, the things that attract you to it, and then tackle that. Then you may find that you like one type over the other. For example, you may love against the light. You may love the fact that it all merges together. Maybe you like cityscapes or even landscapes that are against the light. Whatever you choose, find what you love. The subject matter isn't the one thing that dictates how a painting is going to go. It's more about what you recognize in it. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in a comment down below. Filmed it very spontaneously after finishing these three. I wanted to really pick up the pace when it comes to my 100 cars challenge. So these are cars, I believe, 30, 31, and 32. I think it's this order, 30, 31, 32. So yeah, getting closer, got 70 more left. Hopefully I can finish those by the end of the year, compile these into a beautiful picture book. Maybe I'll sell it. I don't know. I need to figure that out because it really needs to look good. And it could be like a coffee table kind of thing you put and you browse whenever you want. You get 100 cards painted by me, and every one of those is maybe a spark of inspiration for the day. So with that, I want to thank you so much. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this one, leave a like, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. These videos, I'm always curious to hear what you think and if you enjoyed them, because you never know what topic is going to hit. And if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I have tons of other videos, painting processes, whatever it is you may want to watch, I have it. So thank you so much. We'll see you again in the next vid real soon.